This is Full Count, the show for baseball fans by baseball fans that takes the extra base and delivers a save each and every week. Presented by Dinger Bats and DingerBats.com. Now here are your hosts, the round mound of sound, Keith Gibson, and owner of Dinger Bats, Kyle Drone.
Play ball!
Welcome everybody to another edition of Full Count here on Saturday morning. It is the end of July. Keith Gibson here with you, along with me, my co-host, Dinger Bats owner Kyle Drone. We have a lot to cover today. Cubs-Cardinals series this week. We're going to talk big trades already happening as the trade deadline looms with just about a week to go. We're going to talk where guys might end up, but just so much to cover here in baseball, Kyle Drone, right now with everything going on. How are you?
I'm great, man. How are you doing?
You know, I'm pretty good. I'm excited for the trade. Trade deadline's one of my favorite times of the year. This year there's no waiver, non-waiver deadline and everything. No moves can be made after this deadline. So, but it's been pretty quiet. I'm just excited. I'm waiting for that first kind of rush of moves to happen, and we'll get into one that happened already this week and talk about some more that could go. But yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I had a good weekend, and work's good, and family's good, and you're going on vacation. I've already found a guy to fill in for you next week. You are on a much deserved vacation because you've been working late nights.
It's been a long few weeks, but yeah, we're excited about it. Get down to the beach and relax a little bit.
I eat some good seafood, I'm sure, as well, right?
Oh, for sure.
Well, that's you. I can't do that stuff. I'm a meat potatoes kind of guy, if you can't tell. But hey, we'll get things started. We'll talk a little Cubs cards. We'll go around the horn here and talk about what this series this week taught us about the Cubs and Cardinals. And Kyle Drone, I'm going to give credit to the Redbirds because it showed me that the Redbirds are a couple moves away from maybe being able to contend in the second half when I really didn't think they would be. And it also showed me that the Cubs aren't even close. They have zero pitching besides Kyle Hendricks. What did it show you, really?
Yeah, I mean, it showed me exactly what you said. I mean, the Cardinals are more of a second half team. You know, July, August is really where they pick up steam usually. And, you know, I think, you know, they're going to start clicking. You know, like you said, start looking to see if they can, in the next week or so, if they continue, then, you know, they'll start adding pieces, hopefully.
Where do you see the most need for pitching? Like Acevedo really impressed me the other night. I thought he threw the ball well. Kim's throwing the ball well for you guys. Is it the starting rotation that you need a piece?
You know, I mean, it wouldn't hurt. I mean, I would like to see, you know, a starter and then, you know, maybe some middle relief help. But, you know, I think a good frontline starter, I don't know what's on the market, what's available. I mean, you know, the Cubs willing to move Hendricks, but
no, he's not going to St. Louis. Just forget that.
No, nobody. He can't. They won't trade within the division. So, who else is out there? Scherzer. They're now contending, so I don't think he's moving. So I don't know. It would be nice, but it would have to be an impactful starter, and I don't know what's out there. So
maybe a guy like Danny Duffy.
Yeah, I mean, he would definitely not hurt you, but I don't think he's that pushy over the top type guy.
My other thing I saw this week with the Redbirds is Paul Goldschmidt swinging a much better bat. 16-game hitting streak as the series ended. Goldie had a very, very, very slow start, which he's accustomed to. Even when he played in Arizona, he had a slow start every year. April and early May was not good for him. But he's really turned it on here of late. You're starting to see power going the other way as well. That's important, I know, as much as anything, because then it gives protection for Arenado, who, oh, by the way, has now had 19 or 20 home runs already. He hit a couple in the series, so it's going to open things up for him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's, you know, Goldie notoriously slow start. Not saying that because he's a Cardinal. He's done it his whole career. I remember going to a game mid-season up in Chicago. It was the Diamondbacks and the Cubs, and he was hitting, I think, like 220, 230 mid-season. And I was like, this just isn't right. And I think he hit 2 home runs that game, went 3 for 4, and then proceeded to end the season around 305. So
You'll take
if
that.
for sure. I don't, I don't know that he's going to do that well in the second half this year, but any, threat that he can pose to, give protection to Arenado and, make him a tougher out is going to help the team, hands down. So I look for big things. I look for the next, month and a half for them to really gain some ground. And, we'll see what happens, obviously. But, yeah, they've got a good chance.
2 weeks ago, I'd have told you the Cardinals were sellers. I think they've turned into buyers after this series.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, just like you've been a Cubs fan a long time, I'm a Cardinals fan for a long, long time. And I never really even worry about it till this time of the season, into July, is really when you know. And I don't think they're done yet.
I don't either. I think you'll see some pieces picked up. I think they'll make some moves. But what's really impressed me, I'm giving a lot of praise to the Cardinals as a Cub fan, but they are the young talent. Dylan Carlson, Harrison Bader. Man, that guy played as a guy that a lot of Cardinal fans wanted to get rid of a year ago in Harrison Bader, has really turned it around here and is playing some great ball, plays great defense. He's healthy, and I think that's a big part of it. But Carlson, Edman, Bader, O'Neill. I mean, this is guys you can put building blocks on, and it's guys who are organic in the system. And so if you're Cardinals and Mozeliak, I don't care what you need. I'm not getting rid of these guys because these are guys you're going to build off of.
Yeah, definitely. And you got to give Mozeliak a lot of credit for having the patience because, being a fan, it's hard to be patient and wait for these guys to develop. I mean, but they're super young and they've got a lot of talent. Like we always talk about, you get there because of the talent. Then once you get there, you got to learn how to be a big leaguer. And that's what these guys are starting to do. And, when they can get that figured out mentally and, obviously be healthy physically and all that, things will start clicking. And, you got to hand it to the front office to be able to not only, build within the system, but when they get them there, they give them the time. They don't give up on them. Right. And, like I said, I mean, even earlier in the season, I'm like, why is Bader on the field? He can play tremendous defense. That never lacks, but his bat just wasn't there. But now he's doing those little extra. He's starting to use his speed more, to get on base, get around the bases. And that's a huge, huge plus, especially if you do make the playoffs.
Exactly. Speed will help you tremendously, and defense will too. Defense will win you ball games, whether you're playing basketball, baseball, football, doesn't matter. And the Cardinals have that. Pretty solid all the way around. There was a couple plays on Wednesday night in that series that Arenado made, throwing Contreras out the plate and then throwing Horner out at first, that I don't care who you root for, you just nod your head and say, he's the best there.
Yeah, I mean, I think I even saw a play on Thursday night. I was watching the game, and there was a bunt. It looked like just an easy sacrifice. He turned it into a double play and made it look easy. And I think because he makes it look so easy, people don't realize how good he is. I mean, that play is not being made by 90% of the third basemen in the league.
And that may be a low percentage.
It may be.
Yeah. No, he's impressive. Let's flip it over to the other side now and talk about the Cubs. Not great. They aren't hitting. A lot of waiting on that home run. A lot of strikeouts. A team that has, I really believe this, that has never found their identity this season yet. They may have won some ball games, but they've never found their identity of who they are. And you see it in this series. Rizzo's not playing well. Hayward, as much as we love Jason Hayward, he's not hitting the ball, hasn't all year. Chris Bryant's been okay, but you don't have a guy to set the table, and they haven't since Dexter Fowler left in 16 or in 17 when he went to the Cardinals. But they missed that at the top of the order. Moving forward here in the next 7 days is going to give you a telltale sign of what the next 3 to 4 years are going to look like. Because who they get rid of is going to depend on what it looks like.
And I think it all, started way before this season with the whole Chris Bryant thing. you knew at some point that was going to happen. And he's one of your better players. So he was going to move, I think, regardless. I think even if you guys were in the thick of it, he's gone. And
I agree. 100% I agree. 100%.
Yeah, and that just shows that this year was not a year that they were even considering really probably making a push. You know, they signed Jacques Peterson and moved him quick. You know, I think they're on rebuild mode. We'll see if they get the pieces they need. I think they move Javi. I think they move Bryant both, and Kimbrough as well. Now, if they move all three of them, and then even, you know, Hendricks is hot, get what you can for him now. And I hope they get people that can be inputted into the lineups sooner than later. I'm not saying immediate guys, but guys that are a year or two away. You know, not guys that you're going to have to develop 4, 5, 6 years and you don't know what you're going to get.
So what you're saying is they need a better haul than what they got out of a Cy Young a candidate in Yu Darvish and Victor Caratini from the Padres.
Yeah, I would look for a little more.
So what you're saying is they're going to have to get a better haul than what the Cardinals gave up for Nolan Arenado.
Yeah, a little bit better than that.
Okay, yeah, no, I agree with you on that, Kyle, wholeheartedly on that.
I mean, I'm talking look for guys like a Patrick Wisdom, like these guys that have been, you know, they've got 3-4 years, you know, in the minor leagues and maybe a little bit of service time, that are just, you know, ready for that chance. I think you can build solid teams around that, and then get you a couple of big name prospects that may be coming along down the road. But I mean, you've got some good trade value there. I mean, you got 4 guys that could bring you a lot.
Right. And that's a great point in Wisdom. I think what we have seen over the last 3 to 4 weeks, actually since he's came up, is he can play a viable third base, and you don't have to worry about if Chris Bryant leaves. You've already got a replacement there for him. Bryant's played more of the outfield. What intrigues me and I think is awesome about Chris Bryant is he has started in left, center, right, third, and first 10 times each. Over 10 times. First guy to do that since 1904. So he brings value to whatever team he goes to. And it is a rental, so I don't think you'll get as much for Bryant as you will. And we'll get to that later in the show. We'll definitely talk about that.
Right.
What the Cubs showed me is this is the time when the next week you're going to start seeing a fire sale. And I'm not talking fire sale of just players. You're going to talk a fire sale of bandwagon Cub fans, too, because there are going to be a lot of them dropping off the old wagon this week when everybody starts getting traded.
Is that how you do it there?
Yeah, that's how it happened in 16. Everybody hopped on. Now it's time to get off. So, no, it'll be an interesting week, and we'll get to that soon. But, no, the Cardinals, I really think they're a couple pieces away. If they can make the right moves, because I don't think Milwaukee will get the same pitching if they do from Burns and Woodruff the second half, and Peralta, they may run away with it, but I think the Cardinals can give themselves a chance with the right moves here at the deadline.
Yeah, I hope so, and I think you're right.
Well, let's take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk about the first big trade of the trade deadline season, and that was Nelson Cruz on the move out of Minnesota. We'll talk about that trade, and we'll talk about Yerman Mercedes and the White Sox, and see what I don't know, a confusing situation in the South Side. We'll be back here on Full Count at DingerBats.com and on 103.5 ESPN Radio.
Today's episode of Full Count is brought to you by Ford of Tuscola.
Check out the all-new Ford of Tuscola. It's a small-town feel with great big deals. Pre-owned vehicles starting at $24.95. Online at FordofTuscola.com or call 217-253-3353.
Welcome back, baseball fans, to Full Count. Keith Gibson, Kyle Drone with you here on Saturday morning, DingerBats.com and 103.5 ESPN Radio. We appreciate you joining us each and every week. And if you missed any of our previous shows, you can always download them at DingerBats.com or on your favorite downloading app, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon Music, Pandora, Podbean. We're all over the place, iHeartRadio. Or you can always listen to us at 7 a.m. every Saturday morning in Southern Illinois, in the Marion Carbondale area on 103.5 ESPN Radio. Kyle Drone, we had our first big trade on Thursday evening of the trade deadline season, and it was a big one. Maybe one of the most impactful bats in all of baseball, and maybe the oldest bat in all of baseball as well. Nelson Cruz traded from Minnesota to Tampa Bay for 2 top-level pitchers. What does this do to the AL East race?
Yeah, I like this trade for both sides, actually. I mean, obviously Cruz only has so many years left, and Tampa's, in the thick of things. They find a way to win. They've got a great team. He's going to add that extra thump in the bat. And then the Twins, I don't think they're that far away. And in fact, I was a little disappointed in them this year. I thought they'd be a lot better. But I think their years are coming, and then, getting the top prospects that they did, I like the trade both ways.
Yeah, they were traded for Tampa Bay minor league pitchers Joe Ryan and Drew Stoutman. I think I agree with you. It's a great trade for the Rays. It gives them the thump. 18 homers, 50 RBIs. He's a 2.1 WAR for Minnesota this year in a team that's really struggled. Boy, it makes the Rays now even better. It really does. I mean, you put him between those guys, Meadows and Rosarina. I can't say his. I always struggle with his last name, but I think
you said it right.
I got close anyway. But now it adds some life to him as well. I think you may see him have a huge second half. He didn't have to worry about air being outside because he can play half his games down the second half indoors.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be a strictly DH, which we all know. But
right.
I mean, you're talking about an all-star DH traded to a team that's a game and a half out of first place behind Boston.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it adds a lot. He's a seasoned vet. He put up big numbers in the first half, and like I said, when you get traded to a contender, you kind of get regenerized. And I expect him to continue on the second half and do nothing but help the team.
He's 41 years old, Kyle Drone. Will he ever? I mean, if you can hit, you can hit. Let's face it. But how much longer can he go and put up numbers like he is?
Well, I mean, he looks for his age in phenomenal shape. I saw him at spring training, and he was out there outworking all the kids. So if he's that type of guy, I mean, look at Tom Brady. He always said it's not my age. It's whether I feel like I can compete or not. And Cruz obviously still can compete and at a high level. So why not another year or two if the right situation's given?
I think it's the perfect situation. I think it makes the Red Sox now look, they got JD Martinez, but they've got some holes too, and they're going to have to make some moves too if they want to hold on. So this may start the motion. And we talked a few weeks ago, and I said, are the Twins the team that kind of dictates where everything starts on the trade deadline and with everybody moving? We talked about that, and here we go. First big trade as a deadline is the Twins selling off. And so between the Cubs having big pieces, the Twins having pieces that people want, this could be the two teams that could really dictate this whole next 7 days.
Right. Yeah, very well could be.
Another piece of information that came out Wednesday night was Yermin Mercedes. If you aren't aware of Yermin Mercedes, the White Sox, he came on, 27-year-old, came on in a flash in April and kind of carried the Sox after Eloy Jimenez and Luis Robert went down. Came up from Charlotte and just hit the ball every which way, was hitting homers and driving in runs. And then Major League Pitching kind of figured him out. He got into it with Tony La Russa because he hit a 3-0 pitch against in a blowout and hit it for a home run. And he's always kind of had things around the spotlight on him. But things kind of slowed down for him here and got figured out, and he's kind of struggled. Well, on Wednesday night, he got pulled from a AAA game and just said it's over. Now, Kyle Drone, if you're 27 years old, you've got Major League experience, and reports say that he's a little immature. Would you call that immature? Because I sure would.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that goes right back to what we were talking about before. Getting there with talent and then learning how to become a big leaguer. And that's with the maturity, the mental aspect of it, the routines. And, obviously he isn't there yet. And, I hope he rebounds, thinks about his, quick temper or giving up or whatever it is that's going on. As you said, it's a little confusing, but, this is just a little bump in the road for him. And, it doesn't look good, to upper management, if it comes down to bringing him up again or bringing somebody else up, if he's going to have that immature attitude. But, hopefully, as most teams do, they've got people that, deal with this and try to get him on, get him on the right track. And I think he'll be fine.
Well, the good news is, in less than 24 hours on Thursday evening, he was in the starting lineup and said, "I'm back." So that retirement didn't last very long. Yep. I guess Tony La Russa, reached out to him, and reports that I was listening to today on 670 The Score and reports out of Chicago said he really likes to have the spotlight on him, and when it didn't happen, he pouted. And you say it all the time, is you have to learn to be a big leaguer. And part of me wonders, though, if this isn't his way, since he's not up, and they've got Luis Robert and Eloy Jimenez on rehab assignments already.
Yeah.
If this is his way of saying, deal me, so I can get out of here and maybe get some playing time. So that was kind of my thought, too. And a guy like him could help some clubs as a DH if he can, bounce back and learn how to hit. Because he's hitting 339 right now in Charlotte.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the talent's there, but that's the wrong way to go about it, in my opinion. If that's what you want, I mean, you can go to the front office and say, hey, can you put me, can you move me? If he doesn't feel like he's going to be able to get up and make an impact anymore. But just odd way to deal with it. But hopefully he figures it out.
Well, we'll see. The Sox still lead the Central Division in the American League by, I think, eight or nine. And as I said, getting Luis Robert and Eloy Jimenez back soon. They've got the pitching staff I just signed Lance Lynn. That's the other big news out of the South Side.
Yeah,
2 years, $38 million extension, so he's going to stay a White Sox. Rodon's only on a 1 year, $3 million deal, so that'll be interesting to see what they do if they can lock him up for a year or two. Because if so Rodon is 32, and this is a good discussion I heard. I read a couple stories about it and some guys' opinions. I want to hear from you. If you're the GM, are you trying to lock him up for 1 year, 2 years, or are you going to look at the age of 32, maybe give him a 5-year deal? Do you think that's too risky?
Definitely they'll look at the his injury, injuries of the past and things like that. I would look at him at a 4-year deal. I don't think 5's too much of a stretch. I mean, you got to take a gamble. It all depends on what number it comes in at. If you can get him around $10 million a year, 5 years is not ridiculous. But if he's wanting the 17, 18 million that Lynn's getting, I think a 2-3 year deal max.
So that's where I'm at. I think if you stay the amount like Lynn's getting and go 3 years, and I still think 3 years is max. I think 4 and 5 would be a real big risk, just because of his injury past. But I think the White Sox, if they're smart, and if they've already got Lynn wrapped up, you need to get Carlos Rodon wrapped up, because otherwise somebody's going to grab him and he's going to make a lot of money. So I think they'll get him a discount coming back to Chicago.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree.
Let's take a quick break. We will come back and we will dive in, talk a little Blue Jays baseball as they move out of Buffalo and back to Toronto, and what that'll mean to them. And then we'll talk some deadline bust. Players who could be on the move, will they bust or will they flourish wherever they land? You're listening to Full Count right here at DingerBats.com on 103.5 ESPN Radio.
Kester Homes is your full-service real estate team. They work all of Champaign County and a full 60-mile radius around. What really sets Kyle, Tiffany, and their team apart is they work with home buyers, home sellers, and build new construction homes. So they really are seeing all angles of the real estate industry, from existing homes, investment properties, and new construction. Contact Kester Homes at 217-390-5953 or visit online at kesterhomes.com. That's KOESTER homes.com. Kester Homes is a licensed real estate broker with the Keller Williams, the Real Estate Center of Illinois.
Baseball fans, it's another Saturday morning with Full Count. Keith Gibson, Kyle Drone with you. Thank you for joining us. We want to remind you, if you are listening to us in the central Illinois area or even southern Illinois, northern Illinois, wherever you're at, we have a big charity golf event coming up on October 16th at Iron Horse Golf Club in Tuscola, Illinois, to raise funds for the Eastern Illinois Food Bank and Feeding Our Kids of Champaign County and Tuscola. Feeding Our Kids does after-school snacks and sends snacks home with kids on after school and on the weekends and on holidays to make sure they've got snacks and things to eat, which is a great program. I volunteer at it 3 or 4 times and pack things up. It's just an awesome program and make sure that kids are taken care of. An Eastern Illinois Food Bank, they give to families. So October 16th, we've got some open slots still for teams and sponsorships. So if you are a business that wants to be part of this mega event, give me a call, either 217-722-3311 or email me at fullcounthost@gmail.com. Kyle Drone, the Toronto Blue Jays finally get to be like Motley Crue and go home sweet home this next week. By the way, one of my favorite songs. But out of Buffalo, where they spent the last almost year and a half, they're in the thick of it. A team who could make some moves and still be in the East Division, the wild card chase. How much of a factor do you think playing in the Rogers Center? Is it still the Rogers Center? Is that right?
Yeah, it's still the Rogers.
It's always going to be the Sky Dome to me. Always.
Right.
Yeah. But how important is it to be now at home in front of crowd who has had to wait a year and a half to see you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, tremendous to have that fan support. And I'm sure, I don't know, is Canada opened up fully? Are they going to have full capacity at the stadium?
I believe so.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be huge. I mean, you're going from 10,000 fans to upwards of 30, 40,000 fans, especially in these early games, these people that have been waiting for a year and a half to watch a live ball game. And that's a exciting young team to watch, even if they don't get there this year. The next few years in Toronto are going to be pretty amazing for Blue Jay fans.
Agreed. I think they are, as every team is, they're that 1 or 2 arm away from being there. I think they will. That's what their focus will be at the deadline as well, because the offense, without a doubt, is there. Agreed.
Oh my God, yeah, it's unbelievable, and it's so young, so exciting. I mean, they've got a little bit of speed. They've got a whole lot of power. Some, bats that hit for average. I mean, Vlad Guerrero Jr. I mean, if he continues, he's going to be something to watch. Bo Bichette. I mean, they've just got a lot of youth, and even their veterans aren't that old. I mean, Springer's what, 30?
28,
28,
maybe.
He's still got 5 to 7 good years in him, and the next 3 or 4 is his prime. So they're going to be tough.
I think what they did in Buffalo was pretty cool, though. They sold out a lot of games there.
Yep.
And because they are such a young and talented team, and it gave Buffalo a boost as well. And so I hate to see him go, because also the home run numbers were up in Buffalo. Will the dynamic change of how they have to play the game now, moving from Buffalo, shorter fences than in Toronto, then moving that way, will they going to have to change things up, you think, or no?
I don't think so. If you watched any of the home run highlights, they weren't getting cheapies.
Well, that's true.
So, I mean, they were, Vlad was not even keeping it in the ballpark most of the time. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to affect them. I think if anything, it helps with the speed, because now they're going to have the turf to play on. The gap balls are going to run to the wall. So, a lot more extra base hits. So I don't think it's going to do anything but favor them as a young team.
What do they need at the deadline? What's the 1 or 2 piece that they need to really push them either into a wild card to get them in the playoffs?
Frontline starter. They, you talked about it a little bit earlier, some rumors about Hendricks going there. I think that would be a tremendous fit for them, with the leadership that he brings and obviously his pitching abilities. I think that would be, a good start for them.
Man, I just don't want to see Kyle Hendricks leave the Cubs. I don't, because that leaves him with nothing. But, you said before we went on air and started the show today that you didn't realize that he hadn't lost since May 4th. Guy's 12-3.
Yeah, no, it's he's done it quietly, I guess. If you're not a Cubs fan watching every game,
that's the only way he does everything is quietly. He doesn't show any emotion, nothing.
Right.
One time I just want him to get fired up, like show me a smile or something. Speaking of deals at the deadline, let's talk a little deadline bust here as well. Let's talk who we could see traded that may not make a big impact that we think would. I'm going to give you a few names. I want you to tell me where you think they end up, and are they bargains or bust? Okay.
Yep.
Let's start with Joey Gallo. A lot of teams, a lot of hype, a lot of power there, but also a lot of swing and miss. Is he a bargain for the second half and makes a team a contender, or is he a bust?
I think he's a bargain for a team that's already in contention, that doesn't rely on him to be in contention. I don't think he brings the team up to that. I think he can obviously provide thump in certain situations, some big games here and there, but he's just not consistent enough to, in my mind, be a somebody I'm going after. He just doesn't have the consistency at the plate.
I like where you said that. For a team already in contention, he's a bargain, and I like that wording you put. And for a team out, he's a bust. I'm going to tell you both ways he's a bust. I think Joey Gallo defensively is a liability in the outfield. He can't play the infield anymore. Really, the only thing I can see is him being a DH if you're going to get any production out of him. But I hope a team does not give up a whole lot for him. Because he is under contract again next year. He doesn't become a free agent until after 2022. So you've got another year of control with him. But I hope a team doesn't give up too much because I don't think they'll get back what they put in. All right, I'm going to throw another name at you. Kyle Davies. Teams are wanting starters. Davies has shown that he can, throw 5 1/3 of great baseball. But he hasn't went past 6 innings once all season. For a team in contention, trying to get in contention, is Kyle Davies a bargain or a bust?
I think he's a bargain. I think he could really help some staffs at a come in at a 4 or 5 starter, and it's kind of the common thing now to go 5 innings. That's all they're looking for. So I don't agree with that. I think players or pitchers should go deeper. I think try to stretch them out, even if they're in a little bit of trouble. But I think he'd be a bargain for any team in contention.
I think a quality start to me is 6 innings.
Mm-hmm.
A great start to me by a starter is 7 innings. After 7 innings, that's when you can hand it over to the bullpen. I don't agree with this philosophy of 5 innings and let's turn it over to the bullpen. I don't like it whatsoever, and I agree with you on that. I've got to watch Kyle Davies a lot this year being a Cub fan. I'm telling you right now, he's a bust. Stay away from Kyle Davies. I don't think he's given up a lot of hard hit contact. He tries to nibble the plate and walks. He had 5 walks the other night against the Cardinals in the first 3 innings. I don't think Kyle Davis is a guy. Now, maybe as a 5th guy, if your rotation, if you're the Nationals, say, and you've got Scherzer, Strasburg, Lester, and Corbin already, and you need a 5th guy, maybe that's where you go get him. But other than that, boy, if I'm the Giants or if I'm the Blue Jays or something like that, I am not going after Kyle Davies. I'm not. What the Cubs gave up and to get him back, he's not the guy that pitched last year. He's the guy that's pitched every other year.
Right.
Last year was an anomaly. Look at that big word. I threw anomaly out at you.
Oh, my.
All right, I'm going to throw a couple more names out at you and just want your thoughts. A big name that's been talked about, Eduardo Escobar from the Diamondbacks. He's a guy that plays good, solid third base, can put up some offensive numbers, but he's on a dreadful Diamondbacks ball club.
Right.
Is he a bargain or a bust?
Yeah, I think he's a bargain. I think he's got, that 20, he can hit 15, 20 home runs in the second half if he's with the right team, and he's not going to hurt you defensively. If a team needs, that, that situation, that kind of player, then I think he would be a bargain right now.
I agree with you. I think he's, a lot of places have listed him as a possible bust after the trade deadline. I think he brings a lot to the table. And I like Escobar. He swings left-handed too, so you're gonna get the lefty stick in there. And I think he's somebody who he's not an all-star. Great. I mean, he's an all-star. He is because the Diamondbacks had nobody else. But it's truth. It's truth.
Right,
But he's that solid guy who's gonna play hard for you every day too.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, one more name, and it's gonna be kind of tricky for you. Adam Frazier, bargain or bust?
Oh, I think he's a bargain anywhere he goes. For Shelty's sake, I'd like to see him stay in Pittsburgh and kind of build around him. But if they feel like they need a lot more pieces than that, and this is the way to get it, I understand that as well.
Where do you think he ends up if he gets traded?
Oh, man, I don't know. He could help a lot of situations, but I don't know which contending teams really need a second baseman that bad. Man, that's a good question. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking the Sox, White Sox, of course. I think the Red Sox would be a good fit as well. A guy who can put the ball in play, leads the National League in hits right now. I think the Red Sox are the best fit for him. Long term, I'd like to see him go to the White Sox if he's going to be traded, because I think he fits into that young core they have. And they can build with him, Moncada, Tim Anderson. Braves going to, then you got Eloy and Luis Robert out there. So if he's going to be dealt for this year, maybe the Red Sox are the best fit. But long term, if he's dealt, I'd like to see him go to the White Sox because I think he could have the most success there.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Who is playing second base for the White Sox right now?
That's a great question. I have no clue. Yeah. It was Madrigal, and he got hurt, and I haven't watched the Sox game in a couple of weeks, and I haven't watched one since the break. So I'm not real sure who's there, to be honest with you. But
yeah, that does sound like a great fit. I don't know. I don't know if that situation works out, but yeah, that would probably be the best fit. But I hope the Pirates get a lot from them, to help the rebuild situation there.
All right, one more. Bargain or bust? Andrew Miller.
I had high hopes for him coming over to the Cardinals, but he's just not got it done there, and maybe his time is gone. So I'm going to have to say bust just on his recent, performances. He used to be, lefty on lefty, no chance for the batter, but now he just somehow has lost control a little bit, gets behind hitters, and it's hard to strike people out when you do that.
Do you think he's a change of scenery guy, though, that could go to another ball club and maybe find it?
Obviously the talent's there. In mid-season, a change maybe, more, energetic than, it was an off-season change. Because he came off, playing with the Indians, was phenomenal there. And when he was coming to St. Louis, I thought, oh my God, we got the piece, at the back end of the bullpen. And, he's just not been able to figure it out the last couple of years.
Agreed. I think if he goes anywhere besides maybe a top contender, I'm going to call that a bust.
Right.
I'm anxious to see if the Cardinals put him in a package somewhere for something, because I think he could be part of a package. I really do. Shed a little money and get rid of maybe something that's not producing. So, all right, we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about some trade deadline scenarios as we near the trade deadline. We're going to talk about some players moving to different teams and get Kyle and Mai's opinion on that. And then we'll wrap up the show. So stay with us right here at Full Count at DingerBats.com and on 103.5 ESPN Radio.
Today's episode of Full Count is brought to you by Bees Trees.
Bees Trees, your local ISA certified arborist with over 10 years experience, specializing in tree removal, tree trimming,
and with free estimates. Call Greg Miller of Bees Trees today at 217-260-4551. We are 7 days away from July 31st, the MLB trade deadline. We're going to talk about it here on Full Count. Keith Gibson, Kyle Drone with you on this Saturday morning. Hope you've enjoyed the show so far. We enjoy bringing it to you every week. Make sure you join our Facebook group, Full Count, the podcast, right there. And you can check out some great baseball news that we put on there every day. Check out some shows. And then we always value your opinion. You can always tell us what you want to hear on the show or what you liked and what you didn't like. It won't go very far besides to us, so it's okay. But no, we look forward to. We're going to talk a little scenarios here in this segment here on Full Count. Rumor has it, Kyle Drone, the New York Yankees are interested in Colorado Rockies shortstop Trevor Story, which to me is interesting because you have Gleyber Torres playing short.
Right, and you got Odor they brought in to play second, so where does Story go?
Well, that's the big thing. Odor's hitting cleanup for him, which I'm still trying to figure out how he hits cleanup every night, but the guy does. So if you bring Story in, is this the play? Does this even make the Yankees a contending team? To me, I'm going to tell you, no, this isn't the piece they need.
No, I mean, I can kind of see it a little bit if they can get him to play third base. And Andahar, or I think that's his name.
Yeah,
I mean he's a young, future there potentially, but he's not really been getting it done with the bat, and so I can see that to some extent. I do think Chris Bryant's a better fit there overall because you're moving Story, who is now that Arenado's gone, he's the face of the Rockies, maybe there with Blackman, but.
Charlie,
is he willing? Yeah, is Story willing to slide over to third base to play on a contending team, which we're not even sure the Yankees are a contending team yet?
Well, that's my point. Is if you're going to go after a guy like Story, he's got to play short, and he's not. To me, if he moves over to play third, you're silly because you're a free agent at the end of the year.
Right?
Why would you do that? Showcase what you can do at short, but Yankees would have to move a lot of different people around. LeMahieu's played third. If they put LeMahieu at third, Story at short, Torres at second, and then Voit at first, or Judge or whoever, I mean, they're talking about Stanton playing left field this weekend.
Right.
He hasn't played the outfield in how long? That's Trevor
Right.
Story is not the piece the New York Yankees should be going after, is my point.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's odd, but the Yankees, they just buy, and it never affects them. They can always rebuy again later.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Let's talk about another free agent and client of yours, Starling Marte. I loved him when he was in Pittsburgh. I hated him seeing. I love that. That was one of my favorite outfields here, probably the last 10 years, was Marte, McCutchen, and Polanco. Just because they were all young, they could all hit power, they could all had speed. And so I don't know why the Pirates always have one of my favorite outfielders. They always do. You had Bonds, Van Slyke, and Bonilla out there. But anyway, rumor has it going to the Giants. Is that a fit that you could see work for them? Or is he better off going somewhere else?
I mean, I think he's going to be an impact anywhere he goes. I mean, he really is a 5-tool player. He doesn't have all 5 tools working all the time, but when he gets hot, he's as good as anybody. So yeah, I mean, the Giants, they still surprise me every time, and I've actually
Every
got
week.
to watch but I've actually got to watch a few games, man, and they are just. If nothing else, fundamentally sound.
Yes.
They make every play. They do the right things offensively. They move runners over. They do the little things that you don't see a lot of clubs doing, these days. And, obviously they're getting Buster Posey they haven't seen in a couple years. He's performing back to his, years 3, 4, 5 years ago. So, yeah, I think he's a great fit there. I don't think he really knocks off anybody, that deserves to stay there, stay in that position in center field.
What the Giants are also getting is pitching that shouldn't be pitching as well as they have, like Kevin Gausman. Pitching fantastic, but I still think they're an arm away if they wanted to contend in that division, but we'll talk about that a little bit later.
It's a tough division.
It is a very tough division. Let's talk Craig Kimbrell. He's going to be moved. Face it, he's going to be moved in the next 7 days. He's top of the line closer. A lot of teams need that. I'm going to give you 5 teams. I want you to rank these 5 teams top to bottom and best fits. Phillies, A's, Giants, Blue Jays, Astros. Where does he fit best?
I'll go Astros, Giants, Blue Jays, Phillies, and what was the last team?
Oakland, A's.
Yeah, Oakland would be my last choice.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Just because I don't think they're going to have enough in the back half of the season to get there. And with the A's, Kimbrell's on the latter part of his career, I would say. And his last few years, he's going to want to be with a contender. And me as a player, or any player, I would think going to Oakland, it's always the what if. Are they going to spend the money? Are they going to try to build the team? Or are they going to go, bargain hunting and try the sabermetrics and only rely on that, which we've had a lot of discussion about the sabermetrics and statistics and launch angle and all this. And I agree that there's some part of it that belongs in the game, but it feels like that if any team relies on that more heavily than anything else. And I think it just needs to be a balance. So I just wouldn't be confident going as a player in my last however many years I got left and hope that they're going to build the team around me that I want.
That's a perfect answer. I couldn't have said any better. They're last on my list too. I would go Giants 1 because I think he really could change the way that division ends. They've got some great back end, but I think he solidifies that bullpen in San Francisco. Then I go Astros. Then I go Phillies, and then I go Blue Jays and then Oakland. I think Giants Astros is one of the 2 places he lands, one of those 2, and I'd be surprised if it's anywhere else. And a lot of people have said, well, he could go back to Boston. I just don't see that happening. There's been talk of him going from north side to south side. But you got Liam Hendricks said he would pitch the 8th if that would happen already. He's came out and said that. And boy, tell me, that would be a great back end of the bullpen in the playoffs, Liam Hendricks and Craig Kimbrell.
Oh, no doubt.
But I just don't see that move happening either. And so I think Giants and Astros are the 2 landing spots we got to keep our eye on.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I just think if he gets the pick, like if both are shopping and he gets a choice, I think the Astros looks a little better.
All right. I got 2 names, and they're Cubs, because I don't think the Cardinals are moving with it. The Cubs got a lot of pieces to move here.
Yep.
Let's talk Javi. Javi Baez. What is Javi Baez's best fit on the market?
Oh, it's a tough one. I don't think it's a contender. I think it's somebody that gets him and wants to try to sign him to that big deal next year. And, it's going to be somebody in the middle rung, that needs a shortstop with power. I was surprised. I was looking at his numbers the other day, even though he's got way too high of a swing and miss and a low batting average. He's still got 20 bombs and almost 70 RBIs. So that kind of production for the first half, I think I was a little too hard judging him on, his worth. But it's hard. It's hard when you see Tatis, hitting 300 and hitting, 10 more bombs and, more average and the same, they're probably equivalent in the field. Maybe Baez has a little edge there, but I just don't see him going to a frontline team or a contending team right now. But I see him being a focal point for a team, hoping to sign him to that big deal in the next year.
Where he's best fit in? Chicago. He's silly. If they trade him, he needs to sign back. I really think he's the best fit they have, and I think the Cubs should try everything they can to sign him. And here's why: If you can sign Javi to an extension and not deal him as a Chicago Cubs, you've got such a deep shortstop free agent class, right? Coming out this year, you've got Story, Baez, Simeon. Who else was on that list I was looking at? There's several guys there that could be free agents and top tiers. Seager's on that list. If you can sign Javi to, say, a $220 million deal for, say, 10 years, you're going to spend less than if you have to go out and try to get one of these top-tier shortstops to replace him and get in a bidding war. So I think the Cubs really need to just step up and sign him as an extension the next 7 days, and then you have your shortstop for the next 10 years.
No, I agree.
That's the smartest business move in my eyes. And not just because I'm a Cub fan.
No, I agree with you. I wasn't looking at it from that perspective. I should have, looked at it that way. I was looking at teams that he would be moved to, assuming that he's going to be moved. But no, you're right. He's got, and he's a fan favorite. He's gonna cover most of the salary on jersey sales. So, why not keep him and build around him? Keep him and Rizzo, get rid of Hendricks and Bryant, and
quit saying get rid of Hendricks. We don't want to get rid of Hendricks.
I'm sorry, Kimbrel, not Hendricks, Kimbrel.
Okay, thank you. Whew.
Yeah, my bad. I got mixed up there.
You're all right. I'll forgive you. You've worked long hours. All right, last one. We all know he's gone, and if they don't trade him, we will be tickled pink but shocked because he's not going to stay past the end of this season. Chris Bryant is going to be a free agent, ladies and gentlemen, no matter where he goes. So you're going to get a couple months of service from him where he's dealt. Now, there's been talk of him going to the Mets. And the Mets have shown a package from what's been reported as some high-level prospects, including some pitching. But the package that I saw on Thursday afternoon kind of got me a little giddy. And that package was going to the Blue Jays and adding in Kyle Hendricks to that. But you're getting a plethora of talent back from the Blue Jays, which can also include Kevin Biggio, some young arms. I think Teoscar Hernandez was one of them that was mentioned in that too. So it could be if you're getting Bryant and Hendricks, who signed for the next 3 years at 12-3 right now. Right. To me, that's the best fit, Kyle Drone, and that's a perfect fit for both ball clubs.
Yeah, I would agree. That gives them a little more of that frontline starter we talked about, and then a little more veteran leadership there at third base. And it's I feel like anywhere Bryant goes, maybe not this year, but next year, he's going to be a different person. He's going to have the confidence of the team that he plays for wants him there, because we know about the debacle from the service time early on, and then the issues later. And it's just been a situation that he's stuck in, I believe. And I don't think it's Chicago or the fans. I just think it was totally mismanaged in the front office and how it was all handled. And it is what it is. And like you said, he's gone regardless. So if they can, turn a package like that and get a lot of upside coming back to him, then, that definitely is the play.
Agree with you. The next 7 days will be telling, where we will have a show next week, and we'll talk nothing but trade deadline, all the moves, everything that's going on. But we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back, and we'll make the call to the bullpen as we wrap up this episode of Full Count right here at dingerbats.com and on 103.5 ESPN Radio.
Today's episode of Full Count is brought to you by Bosco's Biscuits and Booze. If you need a taste of Southern Illinois, then visit the all-new Bosco's Biscuits and Booze, home of the world champion daily special. 2 large, all-natural, juicy white meat chicken breast, a side of the famous What the Hell biscuits, and a bucket of the cheapest beer in stock for only $6.99. Located at the corner of Old Milwaukee Boulevard, next to the Primo Hooer Hotel. Bosco's Biscuits and Booze. It's world champion food and cheap-ass booze.
Closing up the show, making the call to the bullpen here at Full Count. Keith Gibson, Kyle Drone with you. Thank you for joining us this week. Kyle Drone, you've got a busy week ahead of you, and then you go on vacation down to sunny Florida. I want to make sure you get a good tan, lots of seafood in that belly, and enjoy some time with the family down there because you, my friend, deserve it. I will be bringing in a guest host next week, and Shane Stonecipher. Shane has done a lot of baseball with me before, and a big baseball guy to talk trade deadline, and Shane likes to get in depth, so I'm looking forward to that as well. Don't forget to follow us on social media, Twitter, at Full Count, and then follow us on our Facebook group, Full Count the Podcast. And don't forget, we got a big mega event coming up, Charity Golf Scramble, October 16th. Make sure you follow us on social media to get the updates or get your team signed up. Kyle Drone, you got anything before you head out on vacation?
No, man. Just appreciate all the listeners and stick with us and interact with us on the Facebook page. And we look forward to the next show.
All right. For my tag team partner, Dinger Bats owner Kyle Drone, have a great vacation, my friend. Enjoy yourself.
Thank you, sir.
I am Keith Gibson, the round mound of sound. We will see you next Saturday morning for our trade deadline show. Make sure you tune in, tell your friends, help us grow, and share the show. We will see you next week right here on Full Count at DingerBats.com and 103.5 ESPN Radio.